Ready to get started? Okay. Um, the show that we're going to do today is about inferiority. I know many of you had slight issue with being um, with the whole word inferiority, with black people being seen as inferior by other black people. And remember I told you that you, in order to fix some things about yourself, if you know that you're 350 pounds, you know you're overweight. You can kid yourself and make yourself think, you know, you're big and sexy. You may be dress nice and be a sexy person at 350 pounds. But you can't kid yourself about the fact that you are overweight. You can try, but I told you, the brain knows when you're not telling it the truth. And when no one's looking, I see a lot of people that put on the persona of, you know, being big and okay with it. And then, you know, you're writing different emails and you're writing different letters and whatnot, saying how unhappy you are at times that you're that big. And once you're able to admit certain things, then you can fix them. If you're busy denying things, you're not in a position yet to fix them. And when it comes to the things that I tell you about in these different ministries, I'm not here to be your friend. I'm not here for us to, you know, sing kumbaya and everybody get along and all this stuff. We're here to fix some stuff. And in order for you to fix some things, we got to be honest. We have to be able to say it needs to be fixed because it's broken. It needs to be fixed because it's not quite right. And you know, whether you like the word or not, you know whether or not black people have allowed themselves to become inferior. The question is what it would take for you to be able to admit that black people have become inferior. Okay? Now, yes, white people are constantly trying to stop black people from doing things. A lot of you say, well, it's white people that are stopping us from doing these things. Just like with the school education system I told you. White people did not want you to even learn how to read. So now, why are you surprised when they don't want your children to be overly educated people? That should not surprise you. If it does surprise you, then you haven't been paying attention. Okay? But when it comes to being able to admit that you have allowed, and I say allow yourself to become inferior, because you're not actually inferior. You have allowed yourself to not do the things that you need to do in order to accomplish the things that you say you want to accomplish. Okay? So to give you a prime example, which a lot of you can actually relate to and agree with, is the entertainment industry. The black entertainment industry you have black entertainers that make a bunch of money, but they've allowed themselves to become inferior to the white entertainment industry. So you ask yourself, why is it that a white person or a group of white people can create an epic story about white history, whether it's real or fake? A lot of the history that they make epic movies about is just as fake as all get out. It's false history, and you know it's false history. And some of y'all even get mad when they do history about, excuse me, history about Africa or Egypt or wherever, and ain't no black people in it. You know, you get history about the beginning of the world and all this different stuff. Ain't no black people in it. But that shows you that they're able to create an epic movie without even inviting you to the table. So why aren't you able to do an epic movie about the kings and queens that you talk about? Y'all talk about kings and queens all the time. Why are there not more epic black movies about black history? And you say, well, because white folks won't distribute them. Well, where's your distribution? That right there tells you, well, what you need to start working on while you're filming this movie is a distribution system. Okay? If you're saying that you don't have what it takes to make an epic movie, and there are some of you guys out there that have quite a bit of money. You have, you know, you have businesses, you have, you know, black entertainers, you know, all kinds of people. If you're saying that with all of the people that you know and all of the resources that you have, you're not able to create even a small movie about the black history that you guys talk about, then what you're saying is that white people are able to do it and black people don't have what it takes to get it done. If you're saying that white people can distribute their stuff worldwide and black people cannot do that, then you're saying that black people are inferior. They don't have what it takes to get it done. That's what you're saying. Now, I know you have what it takes, but you have allowed yourself to become inferior because you don't do the steps that it takes to get it done. I see y'all with cameras doing music videos. I see y'all with cameras doing all kinds of stuff. Some of you guys are spending, you know, $3,000, $5,000, $10,000 on renting a camera or buying a camera to do a music video. Because y'all want to be independent music producers or music directors or whatever, artists, everything. And y'all doing all this different stuff. I see artists distributing their own music. Well, all that takes is taking it to the next level, where you start connecting with other people. Start thinking on a global scale. How do you connect with the different countries in Africa? How do you connect with the different island countries? How do you connect with black people around the world? Black people around the world, they're going to movies, they're doing different things, and they're buying CDs and whatnot, you see them. But how do you connect with them so that you can create a black distribution network? If that's something that you don't have, then it's something that you need. And if it's something that does not exist yet, then that's something that you need to be working on. When I hear you guys complaining about, you know, the different internet sites, and you're saying, well, they won't let us do this or they won't let us do that. The minute you got onto the internet site, you should have simply been looking at the different things that it took to create your own. Now, there are black internet sites, but can those sites provide the same things that you're going to these white sites for? If not, then that black internet site, it's time to move it to the next level. so that it can provide the same level of access, the same level of let's say you want to be able to do like you do with some of the social sites where you can post however many pictures you want, or you can interact with a bunch of different people at once. If a black site cannot do that yet, then that's what they should be working on. What it would take to get it to that point so that they can compete with that white site. It's not enough to just say, we're a black site and you need to come to us. Because there's a reason that people are communicating on that other social network. And you need to be able to compete with that white social network to build a black one of equal value to the black community. If you're saying that you can sell your books, your black book, on this black site, but when it comes to editing and publishing, self-publishing and all that stuff, you don't have the same tools that the white site has, then that means that that's some work you need to do to get yourself so that you are competing. You see white people competing with each other all the time for your attention, for your money, for white people's money, for black people's money, whatever. They're constantly competing with each other. But then I hear black people saying some of the craziest stuff, that I'm not in competition with anybody. Well, if you're not in competition with anybody, that's why you're losing. Because there are people in competition with you. White people are in, if you have a black business, white people are in competition with you to get your black people away over to their business. You should be just as serious about competing with them to get your black people back, or to get your black people over to your business, your new company, whatever. There are certain things that the black community needs. Yes, you may have a little store in the black community that sells a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but your goal should be to compete with that grocery store so that you have, 1,000 black people coming through every hour, every couple hours, so that you have another store opening up down the way, so that you don't just have the one store. You should be always trying to expand and get to the level that the black community needs. Okay? So it's fine to start out small. That's great. But if you're trying to be what the black community needs, then you must be ready to compete with the white businesses that black people are going to. Because given the choice, I know a lot of y'all give black people a hard time, but given the choice between going to a black grocery store and a white grocery store of equal value, there are black people that will go to you because you're black. If they can get the same things that they get at that white store, they throw up the deuces and be like, see ya, I'm going over to the black store. Because that's a pride that they have. And if you're, constantly bettering, making your store better, just like you see white folks, they constantly trying to come up with new things, innovations, to make things easier and simpler and better, all this good stuff. You should be doing the same things for your black business. There's no reason why your black business should be any less than any white business that's competing with you. When you talk about Asians' nail shops, the reason that black women go to Asian nail shops, these white Asians set up a situation that made it convenient for black women to to go there and get their nails done. Now, black women are going to get their nails done. The reason they're not getting their nails done with you is because you have not set up a situation for them to do so. If you set up a situation, now if you got a black nail shop, white Asians will come and put a nail shop right across from you and start competing with you. y'all see it happen. Y'all know it. Y'all know I'm telling you the truth. So you see a white Asian nail salon and a bunch of black women in there, what should you be doing? You should immediately start working on opening up a black nail salon right across from you, providing the same level of service and competing with those white Asians if you're trying to have black businesses in the black community. Now, those of you that say, well, black people still gonna go over to the white Asians, y'all not telling the truth. Because I see many, many times that these aren't white people in y'all businesses, even when the businesses aren't that good, or the service ain't that great. These aren't white people coming to y'all businesses. These black people. When you see a wing stand, it's not a bunch of white people in line at that wing stand. It's a bunch of black people. Now, if they leave your stand and they go over to the Asian wing place, that means those white Asians were providing something, or providing something faster than you were. That means you need to compete. You need to do the same thing that they do. They'll come over, white Asians will come over and smile in your face and whatnot, because they trying to see why you got so many black people over at your wing place. But when you see a bunch of black people over at the white Asian wing place, you need to do the same thing. Go over there, see why are your people all over there? What they over there buying? How quickly did they get it? Why do they keep coming back? There's a reason. You need to start competing. Whether it's education, whether it's business, whatever it is, entertainment. Why have black entertainers lost their ever-loving mind? Because the black communities let them do it. You got white folks, I tell people all the time, you have white bands who used to have long hair and used to have white children killing themselves. This is committing suicide because of these crazy white lyrics. Looking all crazy, doing all kind of stuff. White folks say, nah. We're not going to have that. We're not going to have a bunch of white children killing themselves. We're not going to lose a bunch of white children. We're not going to have it. White folk went all the way to Congress. Said we want to stop it. Black people should have done that in the 80s. Should have said, no, we're not going to have it. You're not going to have a bunch of Klan white people paying a bunch of retarded black people to call each other stuff that Klan used to call us. We're not going to have it. I see black women that are saying they're okay with this interracial relationship thing that white advertisers are pushing. Now, when I hear a black female say that they're okay with black males being portrayed with white females in advertisements, that tells me that that black female is not too bright. She's just not up on it. She is willing to chop off her own foot. Because what these white advertisers are doing is they are blocking out black females. They're saying you're not good enough. And then you come along on these social sites and you say, I agree with them, I'm not good enough. That's some inferiority right there. I'm sorry, that's some inferiority. When a white advertiser says that a white female is better for a black male than a black female is, and you agree with that, something is wrong with you. Now, I'm telling y'all something. Y'all talk about black males a whole bunch. But white advertisers, there's these things called panels where whites pay people to, white companies will pay people, white advertisers will pay people. You can make anywhere from $20 to $100, even more, to come in and tell them how you feel about a product or a service or an advertisement. You tell advertisers what you're willing to accept and what you're not. So when you're telling advertisers that you're okay with black females being pushed out of the industry, or you're okay with black children being pushed out of the industry, then that's what you're going to start getting. And you've seen that the more you're okay with it, they much prefer to have a white person. They're willing to inject a light-skinned, highly light-skinned black person, a mixed person, if you will. But they try not to mix in too many darker skinned black people, and that's because they know that you're not going to say anything about it. And you know, even when you see advertisements and there's a dark black male and a dark black female, what you see advertisers doing now is they move them around, kind of shuffle them around, and they'll put the black male with next to a white female or next to a white male, and they'll put the black female over, you know, a couple of people away from him, next in between a white male and a white female. And so the little things that they're doing, you need to pay attention to that, because if you have, you know, you have people that say, you know, well, it doesn't matter. It's not like it's, you know, racist or anything. It's not like it's done deliberately. It is done deliberately. And those of you that do not know anything about the industry or don't know much about the industry, when you talk about racism, when you talk about advertisers knowing exactly what they want and what they're trying to portray and get you to see, it's not just advertisers. It's when people go for a movie, when they go for a music video or whatever, they're very specific as to what they're looking for. So you'll have a casting director that will say, we need a Madonna type. That means they're not looking for a black woman. They're looking for a blonde-haired person. You'll even hear them say, you know, we need blonde hair, blue eyes, you know, 6 feet or 5 feet 8 or whatever it is that they're looking for. They're very specific about that. And they'll tell you that they're looking for a black male, 6'1", and, you know, short hair. That means they're not looking for somebody with dreads. They're not looking for someone with a natural or afro or anything. They're letting you know what they're not looking for. When they say they want when they want a child, they can do a cattle call. A cattle call is an open call where everybody submits their pictures and whatnot, and then they pick out from there who they actually want. Now, with children, they can easily do a cattle call. But they're very specific when they say they want a little orphan Annie type. That means that they're looking for a specific type of person. Now you have a black female, a young black girl that has that submitted her picture to be her, her bid to be Annie, and there was a lot of commotion at the time about the fact that there was no black Annie. Annie was seen as this little white girl. And so they, under pressure, ended up picking her. But this lets you know the power that black females have to change a lot of this stuff if they are to say what is acceptable and what is not. If you see a bunch of advertising, I hear you guys, I see you guys posting different things that you've sent me saying, why is this happening? What's going on here? What's going on there? Black female organizations should be up in arms. They should be having, there should be all kinds of boycotts and letter writing campaigns with the amount of darker skinned black women that are being pushed out of these industries, and from music to movies to the whole nine. They're basically saying we only want one or two. We don't want a whole bunch of them. And yet you'll have an advertising that has 6 white women in it, or has 3 white women and 3 white men, and you'll see the same little token Negro male and Negro female. That stuff is done on purpose. And if you have a problem with it, then you need to start boycotting those products and letting the company know. Don't just boycott and don't buy the product. You need to let the company know that you are boycotting their product. Excuse me. You're boycotting their product because their product does not represent you, or their advertisement does not represent you. And that you'll see things start to change real quickly. You've done it before, where you made sure that any advertisements that are geared towards you or that are in the black community has black people in it, has black children in it. But now, over the time since integration, slowly you've been seeing that advertisers are always pushing to see what you're willing to accept. And now, since 2000, you'll see a black male with a white female or light-skinned black female. She's so light you can't even tell that she's black. And if you have to question whether or not the person is actually black, then that doesn't qualify as a black person. It doesn't qualify as representing you if you're a darker skinned female. And so it's up to you to make sure that one of the other things that they're doing is they're making sure that dark females are shown by themselves, or just them and their child. You guys need to pay attention to that, because that's the mindset they're trying to put into not just you, but other darker females, other dark children. They're letting dark little girls know that you're not good enough. And if you're saying that you're okay with that you don't see a problem with it, then you actually are part of that problem. And you see the damage later on in the self-esteem of the darker skinned females. By then, you've already helped them to do that damage. And so if you're seeing the darker skinned females with self-esteem issues, I want you to stop and say, what am I supporting? What am I promoting that may be contributing to darker skinned females feeling this way, to young teenage dark-skinned girls feeling this way? What am I doing? And is there more that I can do to make sure that images that they can relate to are out there? One of the things that while you're boycotting, or if you, let's say you have a cereal that your child actually likes the taste of, but it always has these little white princesses on them. The one thing I tell advocates is, as soon as you get the cereal, take it out the box, tear the box up, throw it in the trash, and put the cereal in a plastic container, so that your child is not seeing those images all day, every day, every morning when they wake up. It's up to you to make sure what every single culture. And I told you we're gonna have a show about the difference between race and culture, because that's one of those that really messed y'all up. Starting to equate different cultures as being a race. You guys allowed yourself to be knocked down the totem pole because you fell for this particular trick. And we're going to have a show about it so that you understand exactly how you were tricked and how to deprogram yourself from that trick. But it's up to you to decide what it is that you're willing to deal with, what you're willing to accept. And unfortunately, if you want to fix the situation with the self-esteem of young black girls in the communities these days, you're going to have to go back. You may have to go back to 1970 and find out what elders did wrong. You may have to go back to 1980 and find out, what black people accepted that led to the 1990s and darker girls being skipped over for lighter skinned females, or even for a time in the 70s, there was a thing about light-skinned black males. Everybody wanted a light-skinned guy with good hair and, pretty eyes. And those are the kind of things that, the images that you get when you're watching so many programs and so much programming all day long. And one of the other shows that we're going to do is help you understand how much programming you actually subject yourself to every single day. And to kind of give you an idea, if you sit and watch 10 hours of television, and people say, well, that's a lot of television. But when you think about the fact that, there are some adults that may be out of work right now. There's quite a few adults out of work right now. And one of the things that they say they've done more of since 2007 is they tend to watch more television. And used to be when you got up in the morning, you had to go to work, you didn't get to watch television until 4 in the afternoon, and you still watch television from 4 to midnight or 4 to 10. That's still 6 hours. But if you're watching, 10 hours worth of television, you got an average of 60 to 100 commercials in each of those, each hour of that 10 hours. So if you're looking at, and they play the same 10 to 20 commercials over and over again, that's programming you to get them, to buy those products, to get those things, to think about whatever it is they're trying to get you to think about. And when you look at, okay, I'm watching the minimum of 60 commercials over a 10-hour period every single hour, well, you need to start really understanding that all of that, those commercials are in your head. Okay, so you have 600 to 1,000 commercials just playing over and over in your head, and you may not even realize it. As far as your child, the average hour of cartoons on television has 120 commercials. 120 commercials. in an hour that's fed to your children into their brain, and you're not even probably sitting there seeing it, but that's what's going in there. So when you hear your child saying that, I want this, I want that, and I gotta have it, and they're whining or whatever they're doing, that's their programming that's making them want to have it. And you wonder why you'd be hungry. Sit back sometimes and watch. Some people notice it, but see how many food commercials you see in an hour of, your talk show, or in an hour of a court show, or even the news. You got people that have been watching stories. They've been watching the white soap operas for 40 years. And imagine how much programming has happened to their brain over 40 years. For 40 years, you've been watching white females portrayed as superior. And you may have a token black female or a token black male on each one of the stories. And as soon as that black female or that black male is gone, and they usually pair them with each other in the beginning, and then as soon as it becomes acceptable to you, they spin them off, where the black male ends up with white females every single time. I mean, every single time. So you need to pay attention to that kind of stuff, so that you can decide what is acceptable. And you have a lot of people that say, we can't tell people what to do. This is your society. You're part of a society. You decide what is acceptable in your society. You see your society going down. You see black neighborhoods going down. It didn't just happen. You decided what was acceptable. And when you do that, if you say that white people have, a nice neighborhood, it didn't just happen that they have a nice neighborhood. Try to go into a white neighborhood with some mess, and they tell you real quick what is acceptable in their neighborhood. They got a whole list of things that are not acceptable in their neighborhood. That's how they keep it like that. And if you're telling me that you don't feel that black people could or should do that, then what you're telling me is that you're okay with black neighborhood being inferior. You're okay with black neighborhood being the bad neighborhood that you have to move out of in order to go to, a good neighborhood. So, as you guys are going through these shows, there's a lot of things you're going to get upset about. And I know a lot of people were upset about the whole inferiority thing, but you have to really, really start asking yourself, are these things that are happening to us, what part are we playing in it? Are we really allowing ourselves to be inferior? Are we accepting things that make us look like we're not as good? If the answer is yes, that there's things you're doing, or things that black people are doing, then you want to fix it. You got to start being honest every time you see it, and start addressing it every time you see it. That's the only way. Okay, so I can't really even apologize for offending you, because I told you. If you get offended by something that I tell you that you find out is actually the truth, I can't really help you with that part. I really can't. You don't like the way that the situation is, you need to fix it. I can't just not say it because the truth offends you. That's just not how it's done. Okay, so there are a lot of things, from technology to science to math to computers. There's a lot of things that black people have allowed themselves and their children and grandchildren to become inferior at. if you're going to talk about all of the things that black people invented, all of the ancient knowledge that black people have, that's fine to be proud of those things, but it's better if you're still engaged in doing those things. If black people were able to build great cities and build great monuments and different things, you should still be able to do that. Don't just talk about what they did 30,000 years ago, or 10,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago. Talk about what you're doing, what you're building right now. If somebody asks you, what have you built, that's going to last for the next 10,000 years, you should have an answer. I mean, you see constantly white people are forever building things that they expect to last for the next 100, 200, 1,000 years. And if you do not have, you're saying that black people don't have the capacity to do the things that they used to do, then you are saying that black people have allowed themselves to become inferior. It's as simple as that. So y'all know how we do. If we're still here next time, we're going to deal with some things. Okay?